In this session, we're going to learn a few ways of engaging children in travel, and we're going to do it by introducing some of the cutest travel books for children called Beato Goes To. Beato Goes To is a series of books that teaches children about the world and instills a sense of exploration. Written by Sucheta Rawal of Go Eat Give, the Beato Goes To series explores Greenland, Israel, and Indonesia in 3 beautifully illustrated hardbound books. Now, Sucheta is going to share her story and the process of creating these lovely books, as well as giving us a few tips for engaging children in travel. Sucheta Rawal is an award-winning food and travel writer, cooking instructor, and philanthropist. Originally from India, Sucheta started discovering the world when she moved to the United States at the age of 17. She graduated from Georgia State University with a bachelor's and master's in finance. Sucheta worked at UPS, ING, and Gallup before transitioning into a career in travel and food. She founded Go Eat Give to raise awareness of global cultures through meaningful travel, good eating, and community interaction.
Sucheta, it's wonderful that you're here, and I'm so excited to have you here at the summit. And I would love to ask a few questions about your children's books that you've started to create. Beato Goes To Iceland or Indonesia or Israel, right? Are those the first 3?
It's actually Greenland, Israel, and Indonesia.
All right. Nice. So what inspired you to write these books?
Well, glad to be here, Claire. I got inspired to write these books because I was doing research for an article to see what books are out there that teach kids about travel and culture. And as I was going from bookstore to bookstore and looking at websites, I didn't really find a whole lot of material out there that taught kids about cultures that are really remote and far away. I found an occasional book about Jewish religion or Native Americans, but really there was not much beyond that. So I had this epiphany. I'm already traveling around the world. I've written a lot about different countries. I've met kids in all these places, and I've always been wanting to do something, a kid's book involving my cat. You know, what better way to learn about another country than a non-denominational cat who has no color or religion or race. So this cat actually goes around the world. He meets other kids who act as his tour guide, and he learns about their culture, what they eat, where they travel, and some of the issues facing that country. So that's how the whole story came about.
Wonderful. That's great. And I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit, but why do you think it is so important for children to engage with this kind of material and to learn how to travel at such a young age?
That's a really good question, Claire. I've been advocating cultural awareness for about the last 7 years through my nonprofit organization, Go Eat Give. And all the people who come to Go Eat Give events or travel with us, they're all adults. So I found out that it would be so great for them to start having that exposure early on, especially now with the world changing. It's more important for us to learn about our neighbors, and especially, you know, even when we are living here in the US or anywhere else in the world, we do have a lot of diversity in our own backyard, but we often don't know about them. So by exposing the kids early on about different countries and cultures and religions, they become more open-minded. They're able to accept those differences and understand them, and it helps them to be prepared in a globally enforced workforce too. So once they get up to be adults, they're more likely to travel, get jobs abroad, go to a volunteer trip, or even just engage with other cultures at school.
Wonderful. I love that. I completely agree. So Greenland, there's so many amazing places around the world, and Greenland is gorgeous. But why did you decide to start there?
That's a great question. I get that a lot because there's so many countries, and I myself have been to almost 70 countries. Why did you start with Greenland? And for me, it was something personal. I actually stayed at a sheep farm in southern Greenland with this 7-year-old girl called Ina. It was just her and her parents, and we were 45 minutes by boat from the remotest town in Greenland, which, has only 60,000 people to begin with. And this girl was my tour guide for the entire weekend, and she was taking me around her farm, showing me her sheep, and we went hiking and went for a picnic. And this girl had no exposure to other people. It was just who would come and stay at the sheep farm, which was very rare. And it just made such a big impression on me. I wanted to share her story with the rest of the world.
Wow, that's really interesting. How did you come in contact her to begin with and her family?
I worked with Greenland tourism to find out about different places I should go to, and they told me about this family who started an agro-tourism business, and they were living in the middle of nowhere just rearing sheep and had just started this farmhouse. So it just has 2 bedrooms, and people come there for fishing and if they just want to get away from life, which seems like what they are doing right now.
Wow. Well, I loved looking at some of the illustrations in the books, and I was wondering if you could maybe tell us a little bit more about the publishing process and what it's been like bringing these books to life.
Sure. So we have a very global team working on all of these books, the entire series. So I'm from India, and I'm living in the US now. My publisher is based in Virginia, and he's originally from Nepal. And my illustrators, they are in Romania. So we all work virtually. And of course, we're writing about all these different countries that, it's really fascinating to see how this entire diversity has come out just in the publishing of these books, not just about the messaging. So I approached a few publishers, and one of them, Mascot Books, decided they liked the whole concept and would like to publish the first 3 books, which the 3rd one is coming out in May. Mm-hmm. And before that, I reached out to illustrators around the world to see what I wanted my books to look like. And that's the other thing. I researched a lot of other children's illustrated books, and I wanted something that was more realistic because the books are based on my pictures that I've taken during my travels. So all the characters are real, the places are real, and I wanted not just a cartoonish image, but something that actually looks like a photograph, but more for kids. It was just a matter of looking around the world to see who I wanted to work with and who had the kind of product that I wanted to produce, and that's how it came about.
Wow. That's so great, having so many different, team members from around the world come together and put a project together like that. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Can you tell me a little bit more about this latest book, going to Indonesia? I felt like there's something even more special about how that book came together, and especially I think some of the profits go to help a charity, if I'm correct?
Yes, I have been working with a nonprofit called Bali Children's Project that is based on the island of Bali in Indonesia. And they help kids who don't have a chance of education. Maybe they come from very poor families and villages. Sometimes they end up working on the streets, selling souvenirs, or their families cannot even afford to feed them, let alone pay for books in school. So I've been working with the charity through my organization Go Eat Give, raising funds for them and also taking volunteers there. And a portion of profits from this book is going to be going to support them. And the idea about Beato Goes To Indonesia, it's based on a kid called Putu, which the firstborn in every family, the firstborn son is named Putu. So there are millions of Putus there in Bali.
Wow.
And Beato explores a lot of local culture like yoga, volcanoes, animals, seeing the different ways of practicing religion, traditions, festivals, something equivalent to their Christmas. And at the end of it, he also realizes that there are so many endangered species living in Indonesia that we need to really do something to protect them.
Wow, that sounds really special. Wonderful. So I'm really curious. You've talked about creating a full series with Beato, and do you know where he's going to go next?
He has a lot of places on his list.
Okay.
So 3 have come out, and we are talking to the publisher. All of us are talking about the next series of books, and we are looking at Mongolia, Japan, India, and Egypt.
Ooh, exciting. Wonderful. I can't wait to see those. I'm really excited to see how those come together.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, how long ago did you start with this idea to put these books together?
It's been a little less than 2 years.
Okay.
So I started around Thanksgiving 2015 when I was doing my research, and then just started writing. And 2016 January is when I found the publisher.
Wow, congratulations. That is
you.
really great. So I have a couple of questions for parents, kind of along the lines of what are some other ways that they can engage their children in travel? These books are wonderful, but if they wanted to go even deeper, what are some things that you would say that they could try?
I advise parents to start at home and start nearby. So even if you cannot afford to travel internationally more than once a year or every couple of years, there are so many things going on in your own backyard that can give you that same exposure. That could involve more attending cultural festivals or going to the German Chamber, the Alliance Française, and finding out if they have language lessons, they have activities for kids, or they have opportunities to talk to kids from those countries who are expats. And that way you can encourage them to start learning about those countries so that when it comes time to travel, they're a little bit more prepared. And then I also ask the parents to maybe come up with a series of projects leading up to their trip. And it could be a trip to say they're going to Costa Rica. So every month you can have a weekend with your kids about, today we're going to research some languages in Spanish and learn 10 words in Spanish. And the next month you may cook a dish together that is from Costa Rica. And maybe the third month you go to a restaurant that represents the food from there. Or you may have a Google Hangout with someone who lives there, or maybe reach out to an exchange program. There are Penpal kind of programs now with videos where kids can talk to kids in other countries and make friends with them. So there's so much you can do to build upon that travel experience that by the time you get there, your kids are actually going to tell you what to do and be your tour guides because they're so excited and they already know so much about it. And when you do travel with your kids, I always encourage families to have a charity day. You can ask your kids to collect old books, old toys, stationery that they're not using, and give it themselves to kids in these villages or remote places that they don't have access to. And you will see that how much of an impact that has on them. They will remember that for the rest of their lives.
That's wonderful. I love those ideas, especially the pen pal idea, because I would think that there might be a way to maybe connect your children with their pen pal. Like you said, if it's Costa Rica and they, are writing back and forth with someone, and then you have a chance to actually meet that person face to face. I think that would be an amazing way to connect, your children to the destination and to the real authentic, part of that destination, and not just the tourism stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And just staying in Airbnb or home exchanges also helps with that if you are looking to have a more local connection and interact with families. and it saves money, and you can also get a more of an experience of what people who live there live like.
Wonderful. Yeah, and that really gets into engaging children even more. And I love the Airbnb idea as well, as staying local, maybe, buying fruits and vegetables and things from the local market instead of eating out every night, and bringing some of those things home and learning local recipes. Do you have any other ideas on like how to make sure your children get the most out of a trip?
How to get the most? Well, I avoid staying in all-inclusive resorts and just being trapped in a hotel complex. I like to go out and do more local activities. And by that, I mean, sure, if you want to go sightseeing on a hop-on, hop-off bus, that's fine, but don't center your entire trip around it. Maybe go to some people's homes for meals, and there are so many websites now you can even book home-hosted meals if you don't know people locally. Do volunteer work in the local community. Find ways to see the places that normally tourists don't go to, but the locals go on the weekends or for sightseeing. And that way you can see something more special than all your friends did and come back with more interesting pictures and stories.
I agree. That really is the best way to see a place. Absolutely. Well, I think that's everything I had, but if you have anything else you'd like to share that we didn't touch on, especially about your wonderful children's books and getting children engaged in travel, and you mentioned so many important things as to, how important travel is and how it opens up our minds and really prepares us to have open hearts as well when it comes to the world. But is there anything else you would like to share?
I would like to share a couple of more things. So one is I really encourage parents to not just read to the kids, but read with them. The way I've written the books are designed to have conversation starters. So if you look at the book Beato Goes to Indonesia, and there is a page that they're going diving, and they're talking about Putu and Beato are going diving, and they see a lot of variety of animal and sea life. So talk about your experience. Maybe there was a time you went diving in your early 20s, and what did that feel like, and where did you go? What did you do? Or you may have an experience reading a page about Beato going to seeing a volcano, and then have a conversation with your child about maybe you hiked a volcano or you saw a volcano, and what was your experience like. So every page that you flip, I like to have the parents engage in a dialogue and not just be like a story time reading session, but a way to share your own stories with them. And that way, they get to know more of you and your exciting life, but not just have a half an hour of story bedtime reading. I'm also developed an app that is coming as an aid to Beato Goes To books, and we're going to be launching the app later this month in the next couple of weeks. So it's free to download on Android and Apple Store. You can use on any smartphone devices or iPads, and that brings the books to life. So it's an augmented reality with read-to-me features, and kids who are really technology savvy, they would love to extend their story time beyond the books and get on their iPads and still be able to read the text and see everything in 3D.
Oh, wow. That is really neat. Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'll make sure that we put that up for people so that they can click that link and go straight there and pull up those apps. Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you very much. I'm so excited that you could join us, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more about Beato. And yeah, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Claire.